Hey man, I've been saying it all season long. We are spoiled as basketball fans, and the NBA continues to be the gift that keeps on giving. We down to the Final Four in the NBA. Last night we had an incredible game from the Pacers and the Boston Celtics that went into an overtime, something that a lot of us didn't expect because the Celtics are the heavy favorite. And then tonight we did expect this to be a much more closer game, a lot more entertaining, and it did live up to that. Fresh out of the game, a lot has happened in this game. This was really must-see TV, glued to the TV the entire way through. Something that I hope this series continues to give for the rest of the remaining games that we do end up having. But just peak level basketball, and I literally wish that they could play tomorrow. That I would just say that's how excited I am. A lot of notes in front of me. There's a lot of note taking this game for me specifically all the way through. The first note that I'm gonna bring up for y'all that really impressed me, or I don't even want to say impressed because this dude is an all-time great, one of my favorites ever, and in the league currently. But Kyrie Irving, y'all know how much I love Kyrie. That's it's like Kobe, Penny, Paul George is my guy right now of current players, but Kyrie is just like in that realm of top five ever. Aggressive, a conversation that we've had a lot throughout the playoffs, especially in the last series against OKC, where for me, it really felt like Kyrie had a game plan in his mind of trying to emphasize doing the little things like defending, playing with effort, and allowing those surrounding pieces to really thrive and get their momentum and rhythm because we know how big of a piece they are. The PJ Washington, the Derrick Jones Juniors, you know what I mean? Those guys making the shots that they made and playing the way that they played against OKC really elevated the Mavs. And it seemed like Kyrie was saying, hey, I know I'm going to get mine. I trust myself to be able to do what I have to do throughout the course of the game, especially in the second half. And a lot of those games, I don't think the second half went how he thought. And we all knew Kyrie was going to have to come out a little bit more aggressive and not wait to the second half. And that's exactly what he did. My first note is aggressive Kyrie out of the gate. You love what Kyrie gave us in that first quarter. I think it was 13 points in the first quarter. Came out guns blazing. And more so than the actual scoring, which was obviously impressive for me, and I wrote right here, when Luka went out of the game in that first quarter, and I want to make sure I pull up everything. I have the official scores report in front of me, which, again, if anybody is into all of this stuff or trying to create content or whatever, and you're fresh out of these games, I highly suggest going to NBA.com. And while they're doing everything with the box score, they have something in the game details that's called the game book. And it's the official scorekeepers' notes and books that they have at the actual game. So Luka plays 8 minutes in the first quarter, right? Kyrie plays 11. There's a few minutes. There's like 2.5 to 3 minutes Kyrie is out there without Luka. That was one of my favorite moments in this game. And obviously, it's not because Luka is not on the court. You always want Luka to be on the floor as much as you can. But it's the pace. It's the pace. And I think that's going to be something that the Mavericks have to emphasize as the series continues to go on. And they have to try to find a way to implement it while Luka is on the floor. We all understand why Luka likes to play with a slow pace. He's not a fast and athletic guy. He's super controlled. He's about backing guys down, pick and roll, manipulating guys, and playing at a pace that can't be sped up and allows him to continue to have his comfort at all three levels on the floor. And you don't argue with that because he's been phenomenal since the moment he walked into the NBA with how he plays and at his pace. So we don't want to make Luka uncomfortable or change anything there, but I do think that it is important to emphasize the pace as much as you can, especially when you talk about involving Kyrie Irving. And that was the highlight for me in the first quarter. Seeing Kyrie do his thing was obviously must-see TV. But to be able to play with that pace, what it does is it gets these guys going, right? It gets you quick and easy buckets. And it doesn't allow Minnesota to set their defense. There's such a strong defensive force that you want to be able to not allow them to set up. When they set up and they got Rudy at the back end, they have McDaniels and Anthony Edwards at the top of that, and they got, Cat running around, or not, I don't want to say running around, but they got Cat solidified in gaps and in spots where he can help. You got Mike Conley, who's an intelligent help defender, and a guy who can, be where he needs to be in certain spots. It's just a lot going on. And there were some plays where I seen a PJ Washington have the ball in a spot where he didn't really know what to do or where to go. And so he just attacked, which is what they tell you when you first start playing basketball. You catch, you look to score, you don't have it, you look around, there's nothing there, then you just try to put your head down and go get something at the rim. But hey, you got Cat guarding you, and then behind him is Rudy. So he just went into 2 7-footers and just coughed up the ball because there's nowhere to go. And those are the type of things you're going to run into when you allow this defense to set up. They've been the best defense in the NBA for all of the year because they have the best defense. So I think it's important to allow this team to get out, play with some pace, get some easy buckets, and not have this defense always as comfortable as it can be. You know, sometimes, you know, that mismatch defense and transition can throw teams off, and a lot of teams are vulnerable in transition defense. You get what I'm saying? So I love them playing with pace, and it doesn't allow Rudy to be able to get back and anchor that defense. You know, Kyrie at full speed going downhill. It's tough for Rudy to come back and catch up with that. And another part, the most important part, is that when you look at the first half for the Mavericks, you look at the first quarter, the second quarter, you look at the theme throughout the game. The Mavericks specifically in this first quarter, they were able to shoot 52% from the field. 52%. They went 1 of 7 from 3. When we look back on this game and you look at the details, the fact that they were able to win this game while shooting 6 of 25 at a 24% clip from 3, it amazes you. They missed so many different threes. It's tough to anticipate or even ask that they'll shoot this bad again. Half of the threes they made came from Luka. He went 3 of 10. You went 2 of 8 from PJ Washington, and then you got 1 3 from Josh Green. No threes from Kyrie, no threes from Derrick Jones Jr. Literally 6 of 25, just not the ideal shooting that the Dallas Mavericks want to have. And then on the flip side, you have Minnesota, who shot 18 of 49 at a 37% clip. So they almost shot twice as many threes, Minnesota. And out of the gate, they were knocking them down. In this first quarter, they shot 6 of 11 at a 54.5% clip. But I really think because they were able to play with some pace, because they were able to get some easy ones, it negated the fact that they weren't knocking down those three-point shots. They only made 2 threes in the first half. And I think going into the half, they were down 3 points. They were down 3 points going into the half while only making 2 3-point shots. That's just kind of like, it's kind of hard to grasp because on a normal night, the Mavericks are supposed to be down by a lot more, and they're probably not supposed to be in this game, let alone winning this game, when you see how good and efficient Minnesota was able to get up their 3-point shots early on, and how bad the Mavs were. Kyrie 6 of 9 for 13 points. He outscored Karl-Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards in the first quarter. They shot 4 of 9 for 10 points. So he outscored them alone. The Minnesota bright spot for me was Jaden McDaniels knocking down those threes. He went 3 of 3 in the first quarter. He came back and made 2 more in the second quarter. He made 5 threes in the first half. 5 threes in the first half for Jaden McDaniels. Just incredible shooting. 10 points in the second quarter. 19 points overall in the second half. In the first half for him. Really, really, really big. Kyrie doubled down on what he was doing out of the gate in the first quarter with 11 additional points in the second quarter. Put him at 24 points in the half. Him and Luka combined for 38 first half points. 38, while Cat and Anthony Edwards gave you 20. So that was a big thing that stood out for me. It was hard for Cat to really get a rhythm. In the first half, he went 3 of 9. That first quarter, he went 1 of 5 and really struggled to get an offensive flow and offensive rhythm. And in turn, it kind of went that way for him the entire game. But I just love the way that the Mavericks played. Again, second quarter, they shot 60% from the field. 52% was real good in that first quarter, but then they doubled down on it, but shooting 60% from the field while going 1 of 6 from 3 again at a 16% clip. I can't stress it enough how important it was for them to find ways to get these easy buckets while not being able to drop the threes down. Kyrie attacking and the and ones. Just extremely important in my opinion. And I really believe in the second quarter is where you start to see something with Anthony Edwards. And my biggest criticism for him this game was I felt like he did a lot of settling. And the second quarter shows you that because he went 1 of 3 in this entire quarter, and every single shot was a 3. He ended up with 5 points, knocked down 2 free throws, 1 of 3, made 1 3, and that was pretty much that. Not enough shots, in my opinion. He has to come out and be a lot more aggressive, but he is being taxed with the assignment of guarding Kyrie Irving, which is something he was privy to even in Game 7 because he talked about it after the win against Denver about, like, man, I got to go out and guard Kyrie now. And I just think that was something that stood out for me. They go into the half up 3 points, 62-59. Dallas is 2 of 13 from 3, shooting 15% from 3 as a team, compared to the Minnesota Timberwolves going 11 of 25 at a 44% clip. But 56% from the field for Dallas, 49% from the field for Minnesota. So again, you play with that pace. You allow yourself to get those easy ones to negate the fact that the 3-ball isn't falling. And again, I love the way that they shot the 3 balls, but they didn't overly emphasize it. 13, when you're not making 3-point shots as a team, I think 13 is fair enough. There's a lot of teams who double down on it, or they start to panic, and you start to see those threes just fly and fly and fly and fly. And before you know it, you go into a half and you see a team shooting 3 of 26. And it's like, okay, at what point are y'all going to start to switch the game plan or say, that ain't working for us, but this is, so let's double down on that? And I feel like that was the philosophy with the Mavericks, whether it was intended or not. It allowed them to stay in this game to when things started to really change and then slow down for the opposition. Because, I mean, 11 to 25, 44% clip, you have to buy into saying at some point, hopefully we can knock that down to having them shoot around 36, 37, 35% from 3, and they're not shooting almost half of their 3-point shots. Another thing that you have to look at, a lot of letdown points at the free throw line for Minnesota. Again, I never go into a game telling teams that they have to make every single one. I think that's a little rich and that's a little unrealistic. But whenever you start to leave 4 or 5, 6 points at the free throw line, you then look back on the game and say, we make 4 of those, 3 of those, we're talking about an entire different game right now. And I think that always is going to stand out for teams is the amount of points that you leave at the free throw line. Third quarter, coming out of the half, this was one of the toughest quarters to watch for either team. Got real slow. The Mavericks ended up winning this quarter 23-21. And this was dominated really by the bigs. I mean, for Dallas, you got 8 points from Daniel Gafford. He was really active on the glass. Him and Derek Lively, I will say. And that was another thing that stood out for me. The fact that you come into the series, you see all of the front court depth and the size that the Minnesota Timberwolves have, and you say to yourselves, well, they're probably going to control the glass. Dallas isn't going to have the success that they've had in previous series on the glass because Minnesota has so much size on them. But no, Dallas ended up winning this rebound matchup and controlling the glass. Once again, they rebounded 56 times. 11 of them were offensive. And you compare that to Minnesota, who only had 47 rebounds, 30 defensive, and then 10 offensive. So they hung around them with the offensive rebounds. But then on the defensive side, they were really able to control the glass. And they almost won this battle by a plus 10, 56-47. Not in a million years did I think that Dallas would have that much of a significant jump on them in the rebounding category, because you look at the names that the Minnesota Timberwolves have with Cat, Rudy, Naz Reid, and then you start to look at the rebound, and I mean, Anthony Edwards led them in rebounding as a guard with 11. He had 11, Cat had 7, and Rudy had 7 as well. So he almost out-rebounded that front court duo by himself. So they're going to have to really emphasize hitting that glass and making sure that they're cleaning up the defensive possessions and keeping the Mavericks off of the offensive glass, man. That's going to have to be a point of emphasis. You do not, especially at home, especially when Anthony Edwards guarding Kyrie Irving and taking that assignment, you giving them extra possessions mean he has to guard Kyrie even longer. You're giving second, third chances to a guy like Luka, to a guy like Kyrie. Oftentimes, they're going to make you pay. Oftentimes, they're going to make you pay. And a lot of these offensive rebounds, it's just the activity. I mean, Derek Lively with 4 offensive rebounds, Gafford with 4, just extremely active and relentless. And I think that's something that Dallas has to keep up. But yeah, the third quarter, real slow. A lot of missed shots here. I think this is the worst shooting quarter from Dallas. They have, or maybe for both teams, 33% from the field from Minnesota. And a large part of that, compared to the first half, was the 3-point shooting. This is the quarter where they started to look like Dallas with the threes not falling. And look at the difference. They went 2 of 12. This is their worst shooting quarter from 3 at this point of the game. They were 11 to 25, almost 45% almost making half of their three-point shots. Now the shots stop falling and the offense plummets. 33% from the field, unacceptable. You look at Anthony Edwards. He went scoreless in this quarter. Anthony Edwards, as much praise as we've given him, as much praise as we're going to continue to give him, because rightfully so, he's 23 years old. He's phenomenal. He's exceeding expectations. I don't think that there's too many people that don't like him. We should all be fans of Anthony Edwards and happy that he's one of the young guys in our league. But in this series, you're not going to be able to get away with having a scoreless quarter. 0 of 5 from the field, and again, 0 of 3 from 3. Majority of those shots are threes, and I just felt like he did a lot of settling. This is a guy who should never have a scoreless quarter, because even if the shots aren't falling, you should be putting enough pressure on the rim and attacking downhill to where at worst, you're getting to the free throw line. Like 0 of 5, it happens to the best of them, but I still expect to see 3 free throws, 4 free throws, 5 free throws. You know what I mean? And one here, and one, something. You have to not allow this team to take you out of the game, because you are looked at, as much as you want to take that challenge on to guard Kyrie and whatnot, and we love that two-way from you, but this team doesn't go anywhere if you're not scoring, especially on a night where Karl Anthony Towns shot, 6 of 20, I believe it was? Let me make sure I'm fact. Yeah, Karl Anthony Towns shot 6 of 20 for 30%. We love when Jaden McDaniels is able to get in the scoring bag, but Jaden McDaniels isn't going to carry the offense through. He's playing off of y'all. 6 of 9 from three-point shooting. That's coming off of y'all passes and looks and the attention that y'all are generating. Nobody outside of you and Cat can really carry it. They're just adding a cherry on top to anything that y'all do. They're just extra. But I just think that a quarter like that, a significant quarter, it's not going to work, especially when you played almost every minute of this quarter. He played 11 minutes and 40 seconds. They only had 20 seconds where he didn't play. And again, you have to tip your hat off to Kyle Anderson and Naj Reid, but I really want to give Kyle Anderson his flowers in the first half. We go back to the first half, and Kyle Anderson gives you 11, and Naj Reid gives you 6. That's 17 points off the bench compared to the 7 that the Mavs have. So that advantage is there. And again, whenever you're able to get that much production from the bench, at the end of the day, they gave y'all 26 bench points, 26 compared to 15. So you got a plus 11 from the bench. You got 6 threes from Jaden McDaniels. You were able to hold them to 6 to 25 shooting. They only shot 17 free throws. It ain't like y'all threw them at the line a bunch of times like we saw last night, where Boston shot 30 and the Indiana shot 10 or something crazy like that. This is a game where I just think Anthony Edwards has to deliver for them in that second half, especially in that third quarter. 0 of 5 in this game 1 at home is just too much. And if him guarding Kyrie is going to play this much part in his energy and his aggression and him settling for these 3-point shots, and then not only are you settling, you're being short, then I think they may have to make some adjustments. Again, we go into the fourth quarter, right? The Mavs were able to obviously win this fourth quarter by 4 points. That's what won them the game. Anthony Edwards makes some shots. He has 6 points this quarter. But again, 0 free throws. 0 free throws. So he went the entire second half without shooting a free throw. He only shot 2 free throws this entire game. And once again, every shot he took was from the 3-point line. He went 2 of 4 this quarter for 6 points. He went 2 of 4 from 3. To me, that's just not enough. It's not enough shots. It's not enough diversity in the shot diet. And I think what it does is become very predictable. And you're bailing them out. Because you can make 3-point shots. And you did. You made 50% of them. But I just feel like in the fourth quarter, at home, with you being who you are letting Derrick Jones Jr. off the hook anytime you decide to pull up and settle for a 3-point shot. You're letting him off the hook. You going downhill. You applying pressure. It really strikes a lot more fear. Because 9 times out of 10, you're going to get a call here and there. Again, I think Luka does he does a little bit too much of playing to the foul or for the foul. But when he puts that pressure on, it allows him to get to the free throw line. He shot 4 free throws. Kyrie shot 4 free throws too, but I think Kyrie might have shot 2. He at least shot 2 of them down the stretch to ice the game away. But these guys got to the free throw line. All of Kyrie's points came at the free throw line. He went 0 of 6. He didn't make a field goal the same way you did in the third quarter, but he still allowed himself to get to the free throw line. He has some aggression, and Kyrie is also the second option. The first option, Luka, he took 8 shots. He led the team in shot attempts. Karl-Anthony Towns led y'all in 7. You only took 4. He took as many shots as you and Jaden McDaniels combined, and you took all 3s. Luka had a diverse shot diet in this quarter where he took 8 shots. 3 of them were 3s. He made 2 of those 3s. He shot 4 free throws. He had 15 points overall. And I just feel like they're going to need that type of production in the fourth quarter, especially in the second half, really, from Anthony Edwards. That's my biggest thing with Ant. I love the mentality he plays with. I love the fact that I don't know what he's saying right now at the podium because I'm recording this, but I'm sure he's saying something like, hey, this is on me. I have to be better. I have to step up. And I have all of the confidence in the world that he is going to respond at some point in the series by giving, not even some point. In game 2, he's going to respond and do what he has to do on the offensive end. The only question is, can he keep up that responsibility while having the defensive responsibility of guarding Kyrie Irving, especially if Kyrie is going to come out and be this aggressive. This is the aggression Kyrie has to play with. And if it's just going to be real big. That fourth quarter, though, I got some notes over here. I'm taking notes, and things are happening so fast. At one point around the 9-minute mark, Luka goes on a 7-0 run by himself. Again, these are the type of performances you have to have when you're that go-to guy, when you're the number one option. You know what I mean? You have to have these type of moments, and Luka answered. He went on a 7-0 run. I want to say the team ended up going on maybe a 13-0 run, 13-1 run at the beginning of this fourth quarter. And then, no, I'm sorry. They probably went on 11 or 13-0 run. The Timberwolves respond with their own 13-1 run. And then all of a sudden, Luka responds with a 3 of his own to put an end to that run. And then the Mavericks go on an 8-0 run. And then you have all of a sudden, you know, some incredible plays that I think really swung the game in the fourth quarter. There was a turnover where I think the Mavericks were up 1, if I'm not mistaken, after the Anthony Edwards 3 at the top of the key. I want to say it was either he hit that or I can't remember. Jaden McDaniels had a turnover that I just couldn't wrap my mind. I can't even understand what he was thinking or how he even got in the situation, but he kind of got under the rim and was trying to throw the basketball out. And it hit Luka, and Luka got it. They push it up. Luka hits Kyrie on the left wing, left slot. The defender commits to Kyrie, obviously. And Kyrie one more passes it to a wide open P.J. Washington in the corner, his spot, the left corner. And he hits the 3 in transition, which now puts them back up 4. To me, there is no one play that loses you a game. There's a collection of many things that you do over the course of a game, but that was a standout play for me. That was a very, very, very big play to me, not only because you turned the ball over and weren't able to get up a shot attempt, but you also allowed them to score quickly, and not only did they score quickly, they scored a 3. And it's just tough. It's really tough. And how many turnovers did they have in this fourth quarter? They had 5 turnovers in the fourth quarter. And I want to say that was the most amount of turnovers that they had in a quarter this entire game. The third quarter, they had 1 turnover. The second quarter, they had 3 turnovers. And then in the very first quarter, they had 1 turnover. So up to before the fourth quarter, the most amount of turnovers they had were 3. They had 5 in this fourth quarter. And they were some big ones. And that Jaden McDaniels one is one that's ingrained in my head. There's another one where I felt like Luka made an incredible play where they tried to get the lob to Rudy. He was able to smack it out of the air. Just very, very big, man. Very big. You have to credit Dallas for being able to find a way to stick it through. I really do believe that when that third quarter happened and the Mavericks the Timberwolves weren't able to knock the three ball down the same way, it kind of affected them. And then you got to say shout out to the Mavericks. Shout out to Luka. He stepped up. P.J. Washington stepped up. They weren't able to get shots going from the perimeter all game long. This fourth quarter, they only took 6. They made 3 of them at a 50% clip, and every single one that they hit was very, very big, man. Very, very big shots.
They didn't get as much production from their bench in the scoring column as Minnesota was able to get from Kyle Anderson and Naz Reid. But I feel like Derek Lively being aggressive and on those boards, he had some putback dunks and whatnot, and just being relentless, I think was a big factor for them. Josh Green seems that just make energy plays, hustles for loose balls. I think he hit a big 3-point shot. Jaden Hardy, like really coming in and making some plays. He had a really bad shot attempt that I didn't like, which was in the first half. I think he had a mid-range shot where he had a one more to Josh Green for a wide open three. But other than that, I really love some of the decisions he made and how he was able to create some plays. And I think that's his spot right now in his lane to allow him to garner more minutes. And the more trust he receives from Jason Kidd and the rest of the coaching staff and his teammates, I think the more his offensive game will be able to be put on display. But right now in these early minutes, they kind of need him to play like that backup point guard a little bit and be able to, make plays, and then also coincide next to a Kyrie and a Luka where he can make shots and be aggressive here and there. But he has to be able to dive into that and continue to make good decisions. This is like the second game in a row, I want to say, where I think his playmaking has exceeded my expectation. I think he has all the tools to be a solid playmaker, but these last two games in the playoffs, I think he's been a much better than solid. He's been a step above solid as far as making plays and leveraging some of his offensive wizardry and his handle and his attack and his shot, and using that to open up some other shots and opportunities for other guys. So I like that from Jaden Hardy. So again, collective effort from that bench group. I don't think they're ever going to outscore Minnesota, even with Nickeil Alexander-Walker shooting the ball the way he is right now. I just think that Naz Reid is going to be, by himself a lot to match. And then if Kyle Anderson is giving you this much production for the rest of the series, I think that's going to be something else to watch. Shout out to Kyle Anderson. He really gave them some impactful and important minutes, especially in that first half and that first quarter. But yeah, overall, they came out the gate and they had an incredible shooting performance in the first half, powered by Jaden McDaniels, and the Mavericks were the opposite. They couldn't buy a three-point shot, but I think they didn't allow that to stop or hinder the fact that they could attack that paint and get as many easy buckets. And then you saw that the identity for the Minnesota Timberwolves were like, hey, when we couldn't make shots, there was nothing else that they could really do. There was nothing else that they felt confident going to. And in the second half, they shot 7 of 24 from 3 at a 29% clip. That's extremely different from the 11 to 25 in the first half at a 45% clip. And when the threes weren't falling, neither was the rest of the shots. When you shoot 44 shots in a half and 24 of them are threes, more than half of your shots were three-point shots, and they didn't fall, and it kind of swayed the game for them. 1 of 3 for McDaniels in the second half, 1 of 6 for Cat in the second half from 3, 2 of 7 from 3 for Anthony Edwards in the second half, 1 of 3 for Mike Conley. Just tough shooting, and that's why they say when you live by the 3, you die by the 3. But I think a lot of this has to fall on Anthony Edwards. He is the one guy that I can't accept settling for these amount of threes. He took 9 shots in the second half. 7 of them were threes. That's too much settling, man. Too much settling for somebody that's as athletic and as strong and powerful as him. And he's already going into that superstar mode. At home, you're going to get a call or two from just putting your head down. I promise you, you're going to get a call or two. I promise you will. Look at all the other guys. Look at your opponent right now. Luka found a way to do it. And yeah, I'm interested to see what they're going to do in the second game. Obviously, they didn't do a lot of blitzing. If you watch the game, they talked about that. And in the fourth quarter, they were trying to, but then Luka stopped asking for the screen. And again, Luka's just one of those guys where he just never seems to amaze you. You can put any of these best defenders or whatever title you want to put on these guys. He's going to find a way to embarrass them in some plays and do what he does. He's going to make tough shots. He's going to make demoralizing shots. He hit some threes in that fourth quarter that was just like, oh, that one. That was that run Minnesota went on, that quick little run. Yeah, not the quick one, but the 13-1 run, and Cat hit the 3, and they go up 99 to 98. And then something else happened where they go up 4. And then Luka comes back, and then he responds with the 3. It's just like, man, that 3 was so big. It's like as soon as Minnesota as a team and the fans in the building can start to feel like, oh, we got some momentum, Luka come down, and it's a step back. He has the first shot. He doesn't shoot it. He dribbles, step back on Jaden McDaniels and hits it. That's just like oh man, that shot is it's so impactful, more than obviously just putting 3 points on the scoreboard. The confidence it gives the rest of the team, the relief it gives the rest of the team, from the coaching staff to the players on the floor, the hurt or the hit it gives to the opposing team, and the crowd that's rallying behind them. All of that plays such an important part, and that's why I ultimately picked Dallas to win the series, because they have him, they have Kyrie, and these two dudes can do some extreme damage. These dudes went 24 or 49 from the field and shot 49% combined. Even in a half where Kyrie Irving scores 6 points and goes 1 of 9 in the second half, they still found a way to combine for almost 50% shooting and giving you how many points? Let me make sure. That's 49%. Am I saying? Yeah, they combine to shoot 49%, but they combine for 63 points. So let's say that the correct way now, because I didn't have the point total in my notes. Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic combined shot 49 shots. Out of those 49 shots, they made 24. That's 49%. And they combined for 63 points. That is amazing. That's 63 points, 12 assists, and 6 turnovers. Phenomenal game for them, man. I'm excited for game 2. Y'all let me know in the comments different things that y'all saw. If you're a Minnesota Timberwolves fan, if you're a Dallas Maverick fan, let me know some of the adjustments you want to see. Even if you're like me, you're an indifferent fan who's just hoping for some good basketball. What are some things that caught your eye? What are your new predictions as the series go forward? What are some biggest things that you felt stood out to you? And what's some of the biggest takeaways? As always, I appreciate y'all. This is the channel you want to be locked into all playoffs long. Pee Wee the Plug. I will see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace.